So hey, we were right. We said we're coming back for Hot D. What are
Season 2.
you drinking?
It is
Frozen
a
wine.
frozen pink Moscato Sutter House wine.
Oh my
It's
god,
like a little tiny bottle.
wine does free. Now I do think showing you this that the setup right here is kind of better. That looks better. All right. So okay. Hey, welcome to Hot D Season 2, Episode 1, and hey, we're doing a weekly breakdown. I would have did Sunday, but we both got to work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the. Said I always say blue collar, but my cousin, my family, everyone busts their ass in our family. So we're not going to do a big recap. And if in case you're wondering too, why I'm not showing footage for is because sometimes HBO, hey, please don't block me. I'm showing just pictures and stills and not showing any footage and being very
Yeah.
selective on the stills. All right, but we have to do a quick recap, even though we just did a whole season recap. Just a quick minute of what's going on from season 1. In case anybody didn't know, we have good old King Viserys Targaryen, right? I
Yes.
didn't fuck his name. Okay. Viserys is a peaceful king, and his daughter is
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. And well, this is the hot Rhaenyra. Sorry, but he gave her the throne, and as she gets bigger, she still has the throne, the Iron Throne. But what happens? Well, last season on House of the Dragon. So here's our buddy Otto, your favorite character.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
But Otto,
And his daughter.
he is telling his daughter that, well, if the king dies, his daughter will succeed him, and then she's going to take your kids and put your kids to the sword and kill all your kids, which I don't think Rhaenyra would do that.
Rhaenyra wouldn't have done that. Yes, she doesn't really have a relationship with her younger siblings, but she's not a kinslayer, so to speak.
Yeah. So there's all the kids. Actually, there's a crazy wife too, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, fuck Allison. Screw that bitch.
And hey, our buddy Kristen Cole.
Sir Crispin.
Kristen, yeah. This guy, he has no problem having sex with multiple queens.
Oh, no, he does not.
What a Chad. And he's got a very strange sense of honor. All right.
Very.
Yep. And it comes down to the entire
There
season.
he is.
Everyone's favorite, Matt Damon. But also
Daemon Targaryen.
Rhaenyra, she's an uncle fucker.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
But still like her better.
And now poor as King Viserys is dying, my favorite episode of the entire series. Paddy Considine, and man, he did. He was not nominated for anything.
I know. It's disturbing because he did an amazing job.
He did. But as the old man's dying, he's talking about Aegon's dream, and he is pretty delirious. He's talking to his wife Alicent, but he thinks he's talking to his daughter.
Rhaenyra.
Right? But he does talk about a song of ice and fire, like.
So this is something we didn't cover. I'm going to take 5 seconds to cover this real quick. Okay. And what it is Rhaenyra in episode 8 had gone to her father during a storm.
Yeah.
While he's hopped up on freaking milk of the poppy, which is basically like heroin or like freaking morphine in their world. And she's trying to talk to her father about did you make a mistake? Did you really want me to be your heir?
Yeah.
And so on. He was mumbling to himself, kind of talking to her. And then when right before he died, he thought he was still speaking to Rhaenyra, not realizing it was Alicent. And Rhaenyra, of course, is the only person who understands what he's saying when he's talking about Aegon's dream.
Yeah.
When he talks about Aegon's dream, he's talking about Aegon the Conqueror, who had a dream of conquering the Seven Kingdoms to face off against the threat north of the kingdoms.
Hint.
And how all of the Seven Kingdoms come together as one and to defend the realm.
Basically a bunch of undead zombies.
Precisely. Which, of course, we've already seen and we all know it's bullshit to a degree. But he told this to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra would understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Of course, Alicent and him naming their son Aegon did not help things. There he is.
Yep.
Aegon.
That's his son Aegon. And again, the kid's he looks like he's 12. What's 20?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So our son, of course Alicent says our son. He didn't mean
because she thinks when he talks about Aegon, he's talking about their son Aegon. Now, these two right here that we're looking at, they are the Cargyle twins, No, that's not them.
You should know this stuff, Mike.
I should know this stuff.
Yes.
But they are two brothers. Their names are Ark and Eric, and they're two members of the Kingsguard. One is extremely loyal to the crown, being Aegon and Alicent and the Green faction.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, he served under that faction for so long, and he's seen all of the misdeeds that Aegon has done, and he's basically like, fuck this shit, I'm supporting Rhaenyra.
I'm out. and we get to remember this
Lady
chick.
Misery,
Yeah,
Miss Aria, the
this
White Worm.
this bitch. I mean, she's playing both sides, but we'll get into
She
that
really
later. And
is.
she's conspiring with good
Yes.
old Otto. Prick. And so right here we have Rhaenyra's king.
Rhaenys.
Jesus Christ, Rhaenys. Yeah.
Rhaenys, the queen who never was.
Yep.
She is the mother of Laenor and Laena
Mhm.
Velaryon, the wife of Corlys Velaryon, and the older cousin of Viserys and Daemon. Her
Yeah.
father was the firstborn son of King Jaehaerys.
Yep.
His brother was Baelon Targaryen, who was the father of Daemon and Viserys.
Sure.
She technically, that's the reason she's called the queen who never was because of the fact that by succession laws, she should have succeeded her father as heir to the
Yeah.
Iron Throne.
Hey.
But
Shit happens.
yeah,
Yeah. So after King Viserys dies, she knows that, hey, Allison, you're still on the throne, you bitch.
yeah.
And right
And she
here,
was held captive in King's
yeah,
Landing
and she broke out with her kick-ass dragon.
with her
Right?
kick ass dragon, and she could have ended it all right there.
But she didn't.
But she didn't,
Yeah.
because, as she said, it's not my war to fight.
Yeah. And
Until she gets to the point she sees how
mm,
Rhaenyra is as a human being,
mm,
realizes, she is our best hope. And she basically talks to her husband about it and is
yeah.
like, yo, fuck that. We're supporting this girl.
Well, one of the twins, he goes to Rhaenyra's side
That
because,
is Eric.
yeah, he swears to the
And
queen.
he brings her father's crown.
And Corlys, he didn't die, but
Corlys didn't die.
he's injured. But
He was
yeah,
injured pretty badly.
yeah. And he
And
tells her, we probably shouldn't join Rhaenyra's side, but she's like, we kind of have to.
and it's not even so much the fact that they have to. This whole thing had to do with the fact that Corlys basically he supported Rhaenyra and supported Rhaenyra and supported Rhaenyra when she was the heir and her and Laenor were married and they were living in King's Landing and she kept popping out kids that surprisingly were not
Mm,
Laenor's. And he even made one of her sons his heir because he was like, well, I have to keep it up because if not, then she doesn't get the
yeah.
throne and our son doesn't become her king consort.
Yep.
So what does he do when his son dies and now Daemon's going to be the king consort? He's basically like, well, fuck it. Everything I worked for, it's not going to happen. So he basically looks at Rhaenys and he's like, we need to take our grandkids and go away.
Yep.
Problem is, now I've explained this to Chris in the past, he's probably forgotten. When Laenor talks about his grandkids, he still does include Rhaenyra's sons. Because despite the fact that
True.
they weren't Laenor's biological children,
Mm,
he did claim them as his children. He still treated them like they were his children. So to Corlys, they are his grandkids.
yeah.
And Rhaenys, in that moment, she's looking at Corlys and she's saying to him, you don't realize the only reason we're not in a war right now is because Rhaenyra's got a good head on her shoulders and she knows you need to negotiate before things escalate.
Yeah.
And she's like, and you need to make alliances before you do anything.
True.
And she basically talks Corlys into taking Rhaenyra's side.
Yeah. Now our buddy Otto, he sends an envoy, shows up and tells Daemon, hey, Allison and Aegon are the king, and Daemon's
Queen
like,
Dallin,
yeah,
Dowager,
and Daemon's like,
and
fuck off,
he brings their terms, which, before we move on, let
mm,
me explain what Aegon's terms were to Rhaenyra.
bend the knee.
Bend the knee to him, and she would stay in possession of Dragonstone, the ancestral seat of House Targaryen.
Mm,
Her sons, with Prince Daemon, would have places at court as cupbearer to the king and his squire. Or Aegon the Younger would be his squire, and little Viserys would be his cupbearer, as well as she could not rebel against him and like all this different
it's
shit.
fucked up. Just surrender.
It's basically like surrender or we're going to war.
Yep.
Now Daemon, of course, being Daemon, he's like, fuck that.
Yep.
I'm not sending my kids to court. My wife's
Yeah.
not bending the knee. I'm not bending the knee. Y'all are fucked up.
Plus, we have a lot more dragons than you too.
Precisely.
Yeah, we're more powerful, douchebag.
Precisely.
So what does Corlys do? Corlys does give his support to Rhaenyra.
He gives her his full support and his
also
entire fleet.
his fleet, because this guy's a naval master.
Oh my god,
Yeah, he's
his
a
navy
badass.
is
It's as long as his.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, let's see, Prince Jaehaerys. Now, she sends
Jacaerys.
Jacaerys. All right, Jace.
Prince Jacaerys.
We'll go with that.
Her son Jace.
Sends him to
He
the
is
north.
the eldest. He is going to not just go north. He is first going to go to the Eyrie to have the Aaron's bend the knee to his mother's cause
Yeah.
and join her fight, as well as to fly north to Winterfell
Yep.
and meet with Lord Cregan
Yeah.
Stark.
Starks, which we know that if you watch Game of Thrones, you know that name. If you're new to House of Dragon, they're very important later on.
They are.
Okay, and then her other son, Prince Luke.
Prince
I'm
Lucerys,
I'm going with Luke,
Luke.
but
Poor little Luke.
she sends him to Storm's End because when his mother became queen, or well, she's supposed to be queen, there were certain oaths that were said to her,
When she
and
was made heir, the whole realm went and they bent the knee, swore fealty, swore to uphold the king's decision.
hmm,
Upon his death, how many of those oaths are going to be held?
yeah, people do that shit all the damn time. It's like keep your oaths, asshole.
But here's the problem. Luke goes to Storm's End,
And
and
his
lo and
uncle,
behold, who is there? His uncle,
yeah,
Aemond Targaryen,
was missing an eye.
who is forever known as Aemond One Eye,
Ooh, wonder why.
due to a little mishap when they were all children.
Yeah, but
Now,
shit goes wrong.
oh, shit goes very wrong.
And say, as we said, Prince Aemon, he's messing with his nephew. He can't control his big ass dragon, and
Yeah.
in one bite, and that's it.
And here's the saddest part. No matter how much you like or dislike Aemond, he wasn't really he was at fault, but at the
Yeah,
same point in time, when you play with dragons,
man, look at the size of that son of a bitch.
and here's fun fact for everyone who has never read anything George Martin has actually written in comparison for the world of Westeros. Vhagar at this point in time is the world's oldest living dragon and the world's largest living
Yeah,
dragon.
and he's hungry.
She.
She is right.
She's a bitch.
Most old women are.
I
So,
mean, but that's beside the point.
yeah,
Whereas Luke's dragon is actually, I believe, at this point in time, the youngest
yeah,
dragon. It's kind of between his dragon, his younger brother's dragon. Well, it's probably his younger brother's dragon, but rideable dragons, it's between his and
yeah.
Baelish.
Either way, Aemon was not trying to kill his nephew, but shit happens, and now he just done pissed off the mama.
And Rhaenyra is
Angry.
gunning.
That's so cool. That's a quick, not bad, 5 minute, 6 minute recap of season 1. Now we're in
And
season 2 of
HOTD. Now, one thing to talk about right here in the first
the
season,
new opening
the
with a
opening,
tapestry.
oh my
Just
gosh,
really, really
this
well.
was amazing.
Yeah, and of course they,
Now,
some people didn't like the whole back to the but you
but
know what? It's Game of Thrones, guys. Keep it.
and this is the thing. If you have a new opening theme song, you'd be sitting there going, "What the fuck is this?" This at least it ties in, and people who still do love, and I'm not gonna lie, I still love Game of Thrones. I just stopped watching after season 8, episode 2, but that's just me. Now, this whole tapestry, in comparison, there now in Game of Thrones, we got to see the landscape of Westeros and the landscape of Essos, wherever Daenerys was when Arya was
Yeah.
in.
Usually the opening would tell you what's going on in the episode.
Yeah.
Tapestry, I mean, it's again, I can't show, I'm only showing 2 pictures because I show the entire intro, I'll get fucking blocked, guys. So
Oh my gosh,
sorry. But yeah,
so
so I'm
good.
just showing these 2 shots right here.
Now, one thing that was pretty cool in the first season, how Viserys had that table with
Yeah.
the landscape of Valyria and with the blood running down and
Yeah.
splitting off and doing whatever. That was to show his reign and like how the Targaryen dynasty began. This is showing, which it did the same thing with the blood running on the table, and it did the same thing whenever you'd see like the little globe in Game of Thrones
Yeah.
with the history of Westeros. And this is the history of House Targaryen from the times in Valyria where the dragons were born, how the Targaryens fled to Aegon's conquest, to his sons. There's actually a pretty cool shot at one point, which we're not probably going to show,
No.
where you see Aegon's second son, his son Maegor, who became Maegor the First, also known as Maegor the Cruel. How he died on the Iron Throne with swords sticking through his wrists and through his neck.
Sucks.
And that's a pretty damn good freaking shot that they show, because I've seen a picture of that multiple times by different artists, and it's awesome.
Well, House of Dragon, it's back, season 2.
Yeah.
Let's go. So that's the opening.
Let's
Of course,
begin.
it says House of
House of
Dragon.
Dragon.
There you go. Okay, now let's
So,
see. Let's see in these slides. I'm showing some new slides right here. And I just, she knows me, but anybody else that I love wide chats now. This
oh
is
my
these are
god, these
these
are
are actual locations, and it's just
they're beautiful.
beautiful. I'm sure it's a CGI bird.
So beautiful. One thing is, like, the places that they film, like, anywhere for, like, the North, they normally shoot in Ireland. That's one thing
Yeah,
I always knew, was anything in the North, that's in Ireland. Anything with King's Landing, most of the time, that's usually Spain.
hmm, I know.
Um,
I'm sure my
as well as Dorne. Dorne, I believe, is
yeah,
either, like, Spain or Portugal. Like, depending on, like, where it's supposed to be located, that's where it depends. Like,
yeah,
most of the Riverlands, probably even, like, Storm's End, even if, like, they decide to go to the Westerlands at some point or another, I believe that's in England, Wales, Scotland, different parts like
yeah,
that. But these specific areas, like the North,
yeah.
1000%
Now we're showing
Ireland.
Winterfell, which anybody who knows Game of Thrones knows Winterfell is pretty important. But during season one of House of Dragon, we never see Winterfell.
We don't see Winterfell at
And,
all, and we
and
only
boy,
see House Stark once, and
hmm,
that's during Rhaenyra's
yeah.
coronation as the heir when Lord Cregan Stark's father, Bensenee.
Now we get to right here, and we get some
And you're inside the walls of Winterfell.
narration. He's just talking about the North, that the North does owe a great duty to all the seven kingdoms because the North, they have a very important job. Their important job is more important than the squabbles of all the of lesser men, of
Yeah,
mortal men.
they
That
have the more important job of any of the other houses due to the fact that they have more land. The North is the biggest part of the
yeah,
7 kingdoms, for
it's
anyone who did not know that.
also the most dangerous
It's
too,
also the most dangerous
because of
because they are right next to the wall.
yeah,
And with the wall, you get wildling invasions, you get poachers,
yeah,
you get like direwolves
yeah,
sneaking down past the barriers of the
which are
wall.
pretty goddamn big dogs.
Oh yeah. You have like both the Sunset Sea and the Shimmering Sea, I
Mhm.
believe it is, as your like two
They even
ports.
have so far House of Dragon does, but Game of Thrones does have giants,
That
and
as well.
now anybody knows if you are new to the Game of Thrones franchise that the basic premise of Game of Thrones was these creatures called White Walkers, big
Yep.
undead zombies. So far, House of Dragon, to my knowledge, probably won't be showing
It won't be.
walkers, but the whole point of the North is to protect the rest of the planet from these undead zombies.
Well, I
Uh,
can't say they won't. Most
Well, yeah,
more than likely they won't, but you never know. They
yeah.
could change in some way, shape, or form.
Well, we're hoping that they don't because this is more about the House of the Dragon versus
Yes,
the
the
because
House of the
that's
Stark.
Game of Thrones has its story to tell.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and he says that
So
these
one of
guys have an oath.
yeah, they have O's. They send back in this time frame. What they would do, which they didn't do it during Game of Thrones, what House Stark would do was they'd hold like a lottery
Yeah,
where they'd put stones inside a bag, and whoever would end up with a black stone, they would be shipped off the wall to help defend the wall.
yeah,
And you watch as it goes, and even Jace, who is heir to the Iron Throne at this point, took part in this and
yeah.
to go to the north, to the wall with these recruits for the Night's Watch to see the wall. And he went with the Lord of House Stark, Cregan Stark, to talk to him about, like, you guys made an oath to my mother back when she was made heir. Do you still hold true to that? And Cregan's basically like, look, dude, like, I'd love to, but he's like, but winter's setting in.
I'm right here. Well, it's real quick. This part. I mean, this. My friend Lance said this is new footage because we didn't see this footage in Game of Thrones.
Mm,
This is showing. Imagine back in the Sword and Sandal days, of a big ass elevator and a 700-foot ice wall with a rudimentary wooden kind of pulley system with an elevator.
yeah,
Pretty badass. Like she said, we have. Let's see.
Cregan Stark.
Yep.
And now Prince Jacaerys, as you can see, his hair has grown out. He's looking very much more like he is the son of Lord uh, Harwin Strong than he is of being Sir Kristen Cole's son at
Yeah.
this point. So he could be Harwin's
Yeah.
son.
Well, like you said, the premise is like, hey, listen, my mother, we need your help to fight, to fight what's going on. The High Towers are usurping my grandfather's throne. But the problem is, it's like, dude, well, look at right here, this. He's like, the bottom line is we have more important shit to worry about than your squabbles. And he
Then your
does,
Game of Thrones,
yeah, exactly. And he
basically.
does say to him at one point, I mean, look at this big ass wall. And he was like, at one point, your great grandfather
Yeah.
came up here. He had a bunch of dragons, and he
Not
said,
even his great-grandfather, it's his mother's
"Oh, okay."
great-grandfather and great-grandmother.
And he's like, all the dragons, most powerful force in the world, were scared to fly across over this, and for good reason.
See, here's the sad part, though. They remember this. They remember this in this series. In Game of Thrones, I kind of forgot that
Well,
because didn't Daenerys's dragons fly past the wall?
yeah, well, and different dragons, I guess. Who knows? It's all 200 years later,
Ugh,
but he does ask him. He's like, "What is
but the
so?"
magic was stronger.
Uh, but like, what was so important about what's going on? What are you guys protecting? And just death. So he's like, "Yeah, this is some serious shit up here, boys."
Yeah.
So he's like,
It's
"But
like, what are you protecting from?
he does
Death.
tell him we're going to send you some old men, some about 1,000 troops." It's like they're old men, but you know what? These are still hardened old men. We'll
They
do.
can fight. They
Well, yeah, he's
can
like,
like
and
defend.
this because he's like the Starks do remember their oaths. It's not that I don't care, but I can't send every man on the fucking wall to help out your mother. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
The fucking wall is more important.
Not every man on the wall or every
Uh,
man in Winterfell.
and now let's see, our poor buddy gets a raven. And he's just getting news about his brother.
And here's the saddest part is Jace Jace is gone. He's done his duty for his mother. He's done what he needed to do. And Jace is a pretty big badass. If you don't already know this, in comparison to his brother, in comparison, he's not like Damon level badass,
Yeah,
but Jace is a pretty damn badass freaking kid. And he would make a great freaking king someday. That's something to understand. He will he is such a good kid. He is interested in learning like their family language.
yeah,
He's interested in learning his histories. He can fight. He's diplomatic. Rhaenyra raised him well. And she tried to do the same with Luke, of course, but Luke was a lot softer in a lot of ways that Jace wasn't. So, and it's kind of hard to like say that considering like Jace, not Jace, but Luke's the one who took out Aemon's eye. But the thing is this poor kid is about to be devastated.
so the brother's dead. We go back and another great shot right there, and we have Rhaenys. Rhaenys, she's flying her dragon. What's the name of this thing again? So
Melis.
Yes, there we go. And I'll keep saying CGI 2024, man,
Oh
excellent,
my
excellent
god,
goddamn
amazing.
CGI. Yeah,
And
she
this
has
is actually nice
she has a
because
little scene between her and her cousin. They're still
yep,
cousins, right? Cousin Damon. And Damon, being douchebag that he is,
still
huh?
they're still cousins. They've always been
I can't
cousins.
remember shit.
They are cousins. Their
Yeah,
fathers were brothers.
okay. But Damon does say to her, he's like, "Well, listen, I need your help to go kill Vagar because that damn dragon's too goddamn powerful. We should,
And my dragon's not big enough to do it
yeah."
on its own, so I need you and Melis to help
But
me.
she's like, "I'm tired. Like, we can't." And he right there, he says the thing for the thing, make a son for a son. Hey, that's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
But
So a little backstory too that no one knows. Vagar was the before, of course, everyone knows before Aemon had ridden Vagar, it belonged to Lena Velaryon, the daughter of
mhm,
um
his
Rhaenys,
ex-wife.
his ex-wife, but Rhaenys' daughter.
Mhm,
And before that, Vagar hadn't had a rider since his father, Baelon Targaryen.
long time.
Melis's former rider had actually been his mother, Alyssa. And Caraxes, his dragon, his former rider was her father.
That's too much detail.
Yeah. But
Well,
this is something from back in season 1. This was how Aemon lost his eye in the first place. Because Aemon claimed the dragon and the other kids, both of Daemon's daughters and both of Rhaenyra's sons, they were bitching him out and they're like, "You stole Vagar. He didn't steal Vagar.
yeah, the dragon shows him.
She chose him."
Yeah. But now this is a good scene right here. I like between Damon and Rhaenys because well, Rhaenyra, understandably so, is mourning the loss of her baby, of her
Mhm.
kid. Now, this is something from a tactician standpoint that yes, Rhaenyra is a grieving mother, but he does say that he can be a prick, Daemon, but he's not wrong. He's like, while the mother is grieving, the queen is shirking her duties, and
Yeah.
he's right because while you're crying about your kid, understandably so, Allison and Aemon and everybody, Aegon, they're all getting power. They're getting more, more supporters. You're just it's fucked
As
up.
far as they know.
Well, yeah, but
Because here's the
he's
thing,
assuming that though.
and that's the thing, is he's assuming it, but technically, Allison's pretty pissed off over this as well.
Yeah, I
But
said
we'll find out
yeah,
later on.
but Damon's thinking, but he's thinking from a tactical
Yeah.
standpoint. It's like the cold hard reality is war. When it comes to war, you don't have time to grieve.
Nope.
Simple as that, man. But and she does tell him is that she's a grieving mother herself. When her kid died, that when my kid died, I was in torment. I need some time to grieve, and but hey, it's like
And here's the problem, though. If he had died right in front of her eyes,
yeah,
things would have been fine. But he didn't. He died on the back of his dragon in the sky, thanks to his uncle, and there's no remains of his that she has seen.
yeah.
No remains of his dragon.
I do like this line right here because he's like, well, she was stupid to go out by herself. What if Aemon fell upon her? And she's like, yeah, if Aemon did find right now Rhaenyra in the mindset she's in, I feel sorry for her because
For him.
but for him, because like the most dangerous thing, even in real life, we know is a pissed off mom.
Oh, yeah. You do
And
not piss off someone.
but he rubs it in one more time. He said it last season. He's like, if it wasn't for you, you could have killed them all right there. He's like, and then he even guilts her. If you had you killed these people, then Luke would have lived.
Yeah.
Which technically he's not wrong though.
He's not wrong.
I
And
mean,
to some degree, yes, this is something that I've said time and time again about her and Corlys. Those boys are not technically their grandchildren,
yeah,
but technically they are. So for her, she's not as grieving as Rhaenyra,
yeah,
but she's still grieving as well. She's grieving her grandchild.
yeah. I'll edit that out. Sorry, we have fireworks.
And
Good on
so
me,
he
right?
tries to command her to go with him.
Yep.
And she says the best line ever: "Would that you were the king."
Yeah, because he's
But
not the king.
he's not the king. He is the king consort.
Yep.
She takes her orders
From the
from
queen.
Rhaenyra.
Yep. Go back and forth between, I like Rhaenys. Rhaenys is like, Damon, I ain't scared of you, cousin.
No. She's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. So we get to Rhaenyra, and again, another one just excellent wide shot. I'm
Oh my
assuming,
god.
like my buddy Lance would say, this is real location. The castle CG. I don't care, but just you can
So the
tell.
castle in question right here actually is Storm's End.
Well, I'm saying, in terms of location, though. I mean,
No, no, I know,
yeah,
but what I'm saying is because people probably don't know, this was not a regular castle in Game of
yeah,
Thrones. This is something, like, newer to us as
okay,
being, like, fans of the show. This is actually, as far as I know, it's Storm's End, which is the last place Luke was
mhm,
seen alive.
yeah. That right there. That's a look you never want to see from a mom, especially a mom
No,
who has a dragon, especially a mom who's a queen.
no.
Don't want to see that look, but she is, and good on Emma Darcy.
Emma Darcy.
Yeah, very, very good acting. I mean,
She did amazing with this
yeah,
because this is also the thing that you don't understand is now she wanted peace. She wanted everything to go
yeah,
peacefully. She was like, "Look, my dad made me his heir, and I sent my kids as envoys. I did
yep.
not send them to war."
You killed him.
And she's like, and I believe if memory serves me, he's only like 14.
I mean, you would know more.
I believe he's only like 14.
Yeah,
And so you basically killed her 14-year-old son.
yeah. Now, I do like this next scene right here, man. How often do you see like just the detail of now we're getting to
Ugh,
Corlys and his ship, but like just seeing guys like just doing grunt work, they're mopping the decks, they're doing, they're fucking getting the barnacles. This is
so,
real manly, just labor, which you got to do.
yeah.
Like people don't get like how especially back in them days, how much work it takes to fucking maintain ships. It's a
And
goddamn
that's a
job.
big freaking thing. Like
These
you
poor
have to
guys
put
are
it up, you have to hold it up with the like what are they called? Like
planks, I guess.
planks.
Yeah,
And then you have to have guys who are going up and down the ship. And depending on how big that ship is,
yeah,
you have to be able to
yeah.
just clean it. And it's
So,
not just like being a swashbuckler and like scrubbing the
oh yeah,
deck. It's literally like you're attracting so much shit to the wood and to
yeah.
your ship that anything that could possibly happen, plus they have to check for any repairs that need to be done.
It's a
It's
lot.
it is.
Now we get Corlys. He's still injured because now we're also getting
He is both injured and yet again, like I said, also grieving.
Well, I was going to say that because no one knows the time jumps between seasons. For us, it's been what 2 years, but
Mhm.
because Rhaenyra is still grieving the loss of Luke and Corlys is still pretty injured, we're guessing
About
it
a week, 2
probably
weeks.
like yeah, it's been pretty
I'd
soon.
say somewhere probably around 2 weeks to a month.
Yeah. Now this new character, which I guess later on will be important,
His
but
name is Alan of Hull,
yeah,
and he has a brother as well
well he
named
gives
Adam,
he gives Corlys this dagger. That this dagger was made for his son Lucerys, which
his
is
grandson.
his grandson. Okay.
Yep. Luke is
And
his
I keep
grandson.
forgetting. I forgot. I remember his kid that got a shit.
His son was Laenor. Laenor was Rhaenyra's
There's too
husband.
many names.
Jace, Luke, and Joffrey are technically his
All right.
grandsons.
Yeah. So he gives him the dagger, and this character Alan. Alan did save Corlys' life.
Yes.
He's like, I do owe you a debt, boy, but I
Yeah.
guess maybe
So
later on he'll become a more important character. I'm not sure. He'll get like what two or three lines.
he got a little bit of time, and it kind of builds
Yeah.
because here's the thing: characters don't just come on into the show.
That's the thing. When Game of Thrones, like this character may seem like a guy who only has one scene, but this show has a tendency to have like this one scene character in episode one. Who knows? 2 or 3 episodes down the line, he could like have the whole episode to himself or
Exactly.
some shit.
And like that's something when we were doing our rewatch, you asked me flat out, you're like, where the fuck did Harwin come from out of nowhere? And that's the thing, is Harwin's been there. Just he's been in the background. He's had a few lines here and there, like during Rhaenyra's wedding, him and his brother, they had that little like chat and they're sitting there and he's like, well, you know, what flame what's the color of the flame that like sits upon the high tower when they're at war? He's like green
Yeah,
and shit when
remember that.
Alicent walks in wearing her dress.
Bitch.
And little tidbit of fact there, he's dancing with Rhaenyra during that whole scene too.
Yep. Okay, we have over here the second brother that stayed behind with
Art.
Arik. Yeah, and also want to point this out because I like this scene right here showing the scorpions, which is later on to Game of Thrones, but right now, yes, we have these dragons. Yes, they're very powerful. They can breathe fire. They're probably like their skin is I'd say tougher than average arrows.
Yeah.
These scorpions though, these dragons are not invincible. They
No.
can be killed, and these scorpions are meant to kill dragons.
And there's certain places that you can kill a dragon that like never hit a dragon in its stomach because things will just bounce
Yeah.
off. Hit it through the wing, it'll tear a hole, but it's not going to kill him.
I did like too. You don't get one big, basically
Mhm.
wide shot of Vagar, but you do
Mhm.
see like there are tears in her in her wings.
Mhm.
So it's like she is a very old dragon, but I said she's taking some battle damage, but just Aemon and Vagar are patrolling the area because right now they are the biggest deterrent because it's the biggest dragon in the fucking world at right now. We get to Now we get to good old Aegon, and
Oh boy.
he's also asking about his son Jaehaerys. What's it? Jaehaerys like what? 3 or 4 years old?
3 or 4 years old.
Yeah,
So, for those of you who don't know, that is Helena. That is his and Aemon's sister,
yeah.
also his wife. He and Helena have 2 children,
Mhm.
Jaehaera, who is their daughter, and Jaehaerys, their
Yeah.
son.
And she does, he wants to know where's my kid at. I want to take him to the council because one day he'll be king.
And
And
she basically tells him, "What if he doesn't
yeah,
want that?"
it's like so one day he'll be king. What if he doesn't want to be king? Definitely no foreshadowing for the rest of the episode.
Oh no.
We'll find out later on. I do like one line which I didn't capture. Yeah, capture right here. It's
Go
something that I
Max.
didn't notice it until the second time watching this. That she tells him like, I feel scared. He goes, well, "Why feel scared for? We have the biggest dragon patrolling. No one's going to attack us." And she's like, "No, I'm worried about the rats." And I'm like, "Wait a second. Why is she scared about the rats for?" Almost
Well,
like
this also goes back to season 1.
more
That was
hint, hint.
something that she paid attention to. She's a dreamer. For those of you who
Oh,
don't know this
it's like Viserys, right?
precisely, and of all of his children, she's the only one who has that ability at this point, if at all, in general.
Like you said, her and Aegon are brother and sister, like Jamie and
Yep.
Cersei.
Yep.
It's weird, but it just doesn't seem creepy here. I'm not sure why.
Because they're not as close.
Uh, okay.
So Jamie and Cersei, they first and foremost are twins.
Oh,
So
that's right.
them being incestuous, it's kind of disgusting due to the fact that not only are they brother and sister, they shared a womb
Yes.
together.
So it's not disgusting if they're not twins.
Oh no, it's still disgusting. But this is also more like disturbing too because he didn't want to marry her and she did not want to marry him.
Boy,
They were forced into it by their mother.
a lot of family bonding going on.
And here's the fucked up part about that. Viserys is the one who's a Targaryen. And Viserys has been wholeheartedly against one, having Aegon marry Rhaenyra, having Daemon marry Rhaenyra, having anyone in the Targaryen line marry Rhaenyra. Now, he was okay with Laenor due to the fact that he's like her third cousin.
All right.
But having his two children here who are full-blooded siblings marry one another, he was older, he didn't care as much about her children, his children with Alicent, but the fact that Alicent thought it was okay when she gave Rhaenyra such grief about marrying Daemon, or even liking Daemon, it's kind of hypocritical.
Your families. Well, now we get to Allison. I won't show what's going on, but said she's having a pretty good time. Kristen Cole, he's eating fish.
Very.
So she's talking to Kristen, and you mentioned this during season one. This guy has a very strange sense of honor and duty because
Yeah.
he stopped fucking Rhaenyra because he's a virtuous knight. He's a man of morals.
Yeah, he didn't want to be like a slut.
He wants to be celibate, so
He was like, I already disgraced myself. Like,
yeah.
if we're going to be together, we should get married. We should run away together. But motherfucker's fucking the Dowager Queen
Yep.
here.
Yeah, so I mean, man's got needs. I have a feeling Kristen at some point will play a bigger House of Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now we get to the council, and Aegon's bringing his little son with him, and
Yeah.
yeah, and
He's a cute kid.
now to his credit, now
Be ashamed if,
yeah.
something happened to him.
Aegon is some people would compare Aegon to Joffrey, which I think is a very unfair comparison because
Very.
Joffrey's a piece of shit. Aegon is very playful, but as you said, the thing is he's very inexperienced because his father, King Viserys, was sick at that point, kind of delirious, and mostly focusing on his daughter Rhaenyra. I mean, Aegon wasn't raised to be a king.
And
Simple as that.
that's the thing, is it's not so much the fact, like I said, Rhaenyra, I don't think would ever harm her siblings intentionally before, of course, the death of her son. She would not intentionally harm her siblings due to the fact that they are still her siblings. They cannot help the fact that they were born. She cannot help the fact that their mother was her best friend who married her father.
Yeah.
So she holds no ill will towards Aegon or Helena or before all that had happened, Aemon. Her main issue was always with the Hightowers, not with her siblings. So where they're concerned, where their whole whatever's concerned, and this played out in the book as well as in the show. When Viserys died, Aegon didn't even think he was going to be king
True.
because of the fact that Rhaenyra was the one who was made to become the heir and to be queen after her father's death. It wasn't until the Hightowers scheming that he was made king. And making him king, he is more playful. He is more like he's bringing a 4-year-old to a small council meeting.
He is a good dad, so he's having fun with it. He's having fun with his son, smiling
Like he's not sitting there. And the same thing with Helena. Like she can't stand him, but she does love her kids.
yeah. Well, the whole point of this entire council meeting is that Otto Hightower, the guy is a piece of shit, but
Mhm.
he is breaking down the whole logistics because right now Aegon is not taking this war, he's not taking his kingly duties that serious, and Otto is breaking down the whole logistics of the fleets and the blockade by Rhaenyra, and
Yep.
war's inevitable, things going on, and of course, right here he's smiling, his baby's playing with the ball, and Tyland's like, stop, and yeah, it's like, is the heir to the throne bother you, Thailand? Oh, I'm sorry, sir, and you should give my kid a piggyback ride. And the mom, Allison, steps in, like, enough right now. But, Otto was breaking down the fact that Rhaenyra's blockade is putting strain on King's Landing. Eventually, it's going to start biting us in the ass.
Yeah.
You guys are doing shit. We're not here to have fun. Now it's serious, but Aegon is still immature, not taking it seriously right now.
Yeah.
And who does he invite in? His brother.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Where Aegon lacks, Aemond actually doesn't.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I was saying where Jace is concerned, Jace is very into his histories, into learning like their family heritage, learning all this different stuff, and he would be a great successor to his mother. Aemon's the same way.
Yeah, Aemon is taking this very serious. But I would some ways and say, I'm not sure what your opinion on this. I kind of feel like Aegon is like Viserys, and Aemon is just another version of Daemon.
Very much so.
Okay, see, the other people call it that. I wasn't sure because I'm an idiot if I call it that, but
Nope.
I'm seeing the similarities
Well,
between.
here's the
Yeah,
funny thing. For people who don't realize this, Amond is actually just an anagram of Damon.
shit. Okay,
So when
nice.
naming him to begin
Amen.
with, yeah, Damon, Daemon,
Yeah,
Amond
amen. Oh shit.
is
Wow,
just Damon with the D on the end instead of at the front.
that's what you're here for. You know things. Yeah.
Not much, but I know this.
But Otto's still breaking down more to Aegon. You see Aegon just like he's bored, he's playing with the ball. Aegon just like whatever, let's just get the
Yeah.
shit over with. How
Because
we do
Aemon
have
doesn't care as much about the whole political part of it.
uh,
He's just like, hey, you guys made me king. I didn't ask for this shit.
hmm,
And he's like, my brother is like my strong hand. And the same way Viserys was where Daemon was concerned.
true.
It's like, yeah, Daemon like may be irrational, he may be a jackass, but one thing most people don't realize is Daemon would never betray Viserys
Mm,
properly.
no.
Like in the
Mm.
end, that's still his brother. He still loved him. He would still like do whatever he could for him.
Now we get to
Now,
Laris here. This douche
Laurie Strong,
Laris, this douchebag.
this
In case
piece of
people didn't
shit.
know, he's a cripple, he has a foot fetish, but he had no problem killing Rhaenyra's baby daddy.
Yep, who
Okay.
happened to be his brother
Piece of shit, man.
and his father.
Yep. Yeah, so and also apparently he was questioning the entire staff and he got her a whole new staff for
Yep.
some reason. Not sure why.
Because he felt that most of the staff was working against her,
Oh, yeah.
either working for her father, or they could reveal secrets to Rhaenyra or Daemon,
Mm.
or just different little things along those lines.
Yeah, and Allison has a new staff. At one point, she's getting kind of aggravated because all of her new handmaids are just new, and she's like, "I'll just watch myself. Get out of here." And
Yeah,
she's being frustrated.
like
Uh,
she's kind of annoyed.
yeah. Now Rhaenyra is still looking for something of her son's remains, and
Yep.
right here on the beach, a whole bunch of sailors, or who knows, just I guess regular merchants, they happen to find a dragon wing. One of the dragon wings left over from what's his dragon's name?
Erex.
Arax. Okay. So yeah, and just again, and also people would know that CGI, especially daytime CGI, is very fucking difficult.
Oh yeah.
This shot, I watched it about 5 times, and when she lands on the dragon, and gets off it,
The
just
way she
chef's
jumps
kiss.
off that
Yeah,
fucking dragon,
it
dude.
is. I mean, oh,
You
I'm
feel her pain.
at some point, someone will make a YouTube like Game of Thrones compilation of the dragon scenes. I'm not doing it because,
Yeah.
but somebody else will. But yeah, and she goes there,
So
and she
something to understand about Rhaenyra's kids and their
mm,
dragons. All of their dragons, their eggs came from Rhaenyra's dragon.
oh, that's symbolic.
So Rhaenyra's dragon, not only did Rhaenyra lose her son, her dragon lost its child as well.
Yeah. Now,
So when you feel Rhaenyra's grief, and something that they don't touch too highly on, the dragons are connected to their human counterparts.
yeah, well, we'll get into that in a minute.
And it's kind of shown in the last episode of the first season when Rhaenyra is giving birth to her stillborn daughter Visenya, but you really see it here.
Yeah. Well, because what she does is, because my friend Lance said that he first thought he saw a head. I'm like, nah, dude, it's just a bundle. Because Vagar gulped him in one bite. All that's left over of Luke is just his blanket. That's all she finds is his
His cape.
blanket, his cape, escape. Sorry,
Yeah.
escape. And yeah, and said right there, just again, great acting, grieving mother. So she has. This is her confirmation. This is her send. Well, not say send off yet, but okay, this is all that's left. My kid, he's dead.
Like, and it's not even the fact that she can see his body, and it's not even the fact that she saw the cloak. He could not have survived his dragon losing a
Yeah.
wing.
Yeah, even if the dragon did die and he fell, no one survived that fall. I love this scene right there. You see Cyrax as she's crying and she's screaming, the dragon's screaming with her,
Mm-hmm.
which is like that's really cool. It's like just all right.
Symbolism.
Yeah, so of course I like this scene. They call him
Oh
a
my
little bit of
gosh.
jokiness. They call him what the Magnanimous.
Aegon the Magnanimous.
Yeah. So Aegon has to be a king. He's got to do some kingly duties.
He has to sit court.
It is a good scene
And sit the
because
throne.
and this shows the how naive he is, but also he is a kind soul because he
Yeah.
wants to please everybody. Otto is a douchebag, but he does make some good points that you being the king, you can't say no to everybody. You can't please everybody. You got to be a king. It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
I do like because there's a sheep herder. He's like, oh, give him your sheep. He goes, well, we can't really do that because we need more sheep to feed these damn big ass dragons. And of course, he like the little line was like, "Well, grandfather or Lord Hand, if I say it, no one's gonna know." And like this line right there, when the king speaks, everybody hears it. The whole realm hears what you got to
And
say, man.
that's the thing is you help out one person, another person's gonna come, and another
Yeah.
person's gonna come. How many of us have gone through that in our lives where you have a friend, they look at you, they're like, "Hey, can I get a piece of gum?" And then all of a sudden, you're out a pack of gum because 15 other people asked for a freaking piece of gum.
He does though stand up for himself. Kind of puts Otto in check because he does say that, listen, my lord, a scorpion takes weeks to build, and our armories, our blacksmiths, the price of iron is going up. We need more help. And he's like, well, we will pay for this stuff. We are going to help our blacksmiths because you guys will be supplying the war. Blacksmiths are important.
Precisely.
Yeah. So of course, Lars is his name again.
Laurie
Yeah,
Strong.
Lars being a douchebag. This guy's just fucking hopping to everybody's ear, and he wants to
Mhm.
hop into Aegon's ear, and just the whole, hey, you're was it Otto? Yeah, he's kind of controlling you the way he did your grandfather.
Yeah.
Ooh, piece of shit.
But here's the thing though, Laris isn't wrong.
Yeah, definitely not.
He might be a piece of shit, but he's telling the truth.
Yeah. And next we get a good scene between Otto and Allison. The short version is they're arguing about victory, but also they want to, basically control Aegon in a sense because
Yeah.
Aegon is inexperienced, and these two feel like they have the best interest of the situation. These two are smarter than Aegon.
Yeah.
Not totally wrong because Otto is experienced. He's an asshole, but he's been in the hand for what, three different kings?
Yeah. Well,
And
2 and now Aegon.
yeah, here we go. Okay, we're back. Because you need a bathroom break.
Nope, I needed a wine break.
Let me see.
I have a beautiful bottle of elf piss
Yeah, I'm out of
right here.
alcohol, which is shocking. But
I'll let you
uh,
try some of the elf piss.
uh, I'll drink one. Man, I guess. But
Yeah, okay.
so after the scene, what happens next? Okay, we're Allison and Otto,
Yep.
and let's see. Well, she says that once Aegon gets bored of being king, we'll be able to control Aegon. All right.
Okay.
Now we do it too. Let's see this scene right here. Nice wide shot of some ships because there's a stowaway in some ships. And who is it?
Saria.
The white witch,
The white worm.
white worm. Okay, why she's a white worm? I have no idea. What are you doing?
It's iced.
Remember, boys and girls, we watch this. Never ice your wine. But anyway,
You only have a freezer.
now Damon is basically pissed off at her because he calls her a traitor. Now, to her credit, I did take this scene as she's a merchant, she's a mercenary. She's not picking sides between Damon's side and Otto and Aegon's side, the Greens versus the Blacks. She's just there to get paid, dude. She has no allegiance
Yeah.
to Otto and Aegon and Allison. But hey, I'm in it for the money. Simple as that. But he's like, yeah, you put Aegon on the throne, and she does give it back to him. Like, well, you're pissed off at me, but I mean, I'm not the one who did this shit. So it's like she says, I'm really profited from knowing Aegon's movements, and
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, you only blame me because your true enemies you can't get to them. She's not
Yeah.
wrong. So he wants to use her, but she possesses nothing. She doesn't really know anything. She's just there to get paid.
Yeah.
And a pretty good scene right here between which one is this? Which twin?
Eric.
Okay, Eric. He does give it to Damon, saying, yeah, the thing is, what I was saying, it's true where she's not allegiant to the high towers, but she just was in it to get paid. And he has a good line, Damon being pissed off. He goes, yeah, where were you and your brother when he usurped the throne? Well, he does give it back to him. These Kingsguard are basically like their version of Secret Service,
Yeah.
we'd say. And he says, we did swear an oath to the entire family, not just certain members. So he's like, Damon, what'd you expect me and my twin to do when the family we swore to protect, you guys are fighting? We can't pick sides. We're meant to protect everybody, not just certain members.
Yeah. And they've been members of Kingsguard since they were 18 years old.
Well, I think he says 8 and 10, right? Didn't he say we swore an oath at 8 and 10?
8 and 10, which
Okay.
is 18 in their
Oh, okay.
language. It confused me for a second, but then
Yeah,
I
because he
remembered.
said 8 and 10. I thought maybe
Yeah.
twins, which all right. So yeah, 18 since they were 18. But he goes, yeah, you should have killed him yourself. I'm like, no, we're not going to.
Yeah.
And so Rhaenyra is back and whispers to Rhaenyra, did you get what you need? And right here, Rhaenyra, well, first, Rhaenyra. She says that, Rhaenys. God, these names. But it's like, yeah, my husband, okay, well, we have his full support. We're doing a blockade. And we get right here the line that Damon, that's all he needs. Because she's like,
I
I
want
want
Aemon.
Damon. That's it. And she's pissed off Mauler. Damon, he's like, that's a red flag. And Damon's ready to go to kick some fucking ass.
That's not the red flag, that's a green flag.
True. Yeah. Look at that face. Look at he's like, yep, that's all I needed. Okay.
He's like, now I can go kill my nephew.
Yep. Yeah, really. But he wants to use the White Worm for information.
Yeah.
You have to know some information about the Red Keep, and she knows a
Yeah.
little bit, but now also
And that's something that most people don't understand is Damon hasn't been in the Red Keep for years. Rhaenyra hasn't been in the Red Keep for years.
Yeah.
They don't know the comings and goings of people in the city. They don't know who's loyal to them and who's not loyal to them. So they do need some form of ally or some form of spy master in some way. And that's something that Massaria can be.
Yeah.
Now, this scene here is now
Well,
Jace knows.
he just got back.
Jace, of course, now knows that his brother is dead. He's reporting to his mother, letting her know what he was able to do. And keep in mind,
Right there. It's a good scene.
She is grieving. He is grieving. They have lost someone that they both love.
Yeah.
And something that people may not have realized, that one line that I want Aemon Targaryen, that was her only line in the entire episode.
Right.
It was. Because she didn't speak here, Jace spoke.
Yeah.
In the following scenes that they're in, she says nothing.
Yeah.
Right here, her sons, Damon, Corlys,
everybody,
Rhaenys, Damon's daughters.
This is their basically funeral because there's no body, so they're burning his belongings because this is their goodbye. It's finalized. You know, this is the closest thing we have to a funeral.
And you have the girls crying. You have the boys crying.
Yeah. Nice wide shot.
Yeah.
There we go. But also, and I did say this as well, we do see Alicent, like you said, Alicent's not a total fucking monster because she's lighting some candles, and when you light candles, you're honoring the dead.
And
she does.
She names 3 people. The first person she names, you asked me this too. You were like, "Who's that?" The first person she names is Alari Florent. Her
mom, right?
That is her mother. Next person she names is Viserys Targaryen.
She did love him.
Her husband. And then she pauses, but then she lights the candle and she says, Viserys Velaryon.
Yeah, because it's like she did not. It was not her intention for him to die.
And I like that instead of being a douchebag and instead of saying like, oh, Lucerys strong or Lucerys like whatever.
True.
She did call him Lucerys Velaryon.
Yeah.
Because that was something that was big too during one of the, I think it was the 6th episode. One of her biggest things was those boys aren't his kids. Like, that's why she made Rhaenyra walk up a flight of freaking stairs and throughout a freaking courtyard right after giving birth to Joffrey was to be like, oh, so does this one look like their dad?
Cold-blooded. So it does show some complexity in the characters.
Yeah.
But now Daemon, he comes back, and it's pretty cool that he was commander of the Knights Guard. Forgot.
The Gold Cloaks.
Gold Cloaks, yeah.
The City Watch of King's Landing.
And some people are still loyal to their old commander.
Yep. Including this gentleman right here, whose name forever in the histories will be known as Blood.
He's got that. I noticed with England, they always have that one Englander who's like, "Lord, my lord, how are you?" And I can't do it because I'm not a man. Commander. He goes, "Yeah, are you loyal to the High Towers?" And fuck the High Towers.
Kind of like the Hound, Fuck the king.
But Daemon, he bribes him and this person named Cheese.
Yep.
Cheese Eater, and he says that
not Cheese Eater. His name is Cheese.
He's Cheese Eater.
Their names are forever synonymous in history as blood and cheese.
Now he does say that, so Daemon's telling him, well, how well do you know the Red Keep? And he goes, yeah, I know it better than the shape of my own cock.
And now the reason why Cheese knows it so damn well is Cheese is actually a rat catcher. For those of you who don't realize, the Red Keep is loaded with rats.
Yeah, castles are.
And especially during this time, it's like overrun. Definitely. So the crown had to hire a lot of rat catchers at this time. And he's one of them, and then there are others on different levels of the castle and like taking care of certain quarters and different things. He specifically is for the throne room and for different whatever. So when he says he knows the Red Keep, he knows the Red Keep insofar as he knows the throne room and that level. Now,
this is something we'll bring up at the end, because I did notice the second time. I want to get your opinion about it, but basically Daemon says that here's half the money now, half later. Yeah. I want you guys to kill Aemond.
Yeah.
And
specifically.
And right there, he asks the question, though, what if we can't find him? Daemon never answers. I noticed that. but we'll see. We'll get into that later in a few minutes. All right, now we're having between Aemond and Kristen Cole again. They're hanging out and they're talking tactics, and they're sitting there, drinking and talking about the being a prince and his mother and his grandfather, things like that. So Otto pops in. Oh, I like that line right there. He said, his mother is annoying, but also she plotted with my father's counsel to usurp his throne. So even Aemon is aware of the fact that fucking the throne belongs to Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Damn, they don't know it.
Like, he is not stupid. It's just, and I'm not even going to say that Aemon hates his sister. It's just, he's going to be loyal to his mother because that's his mother. He's going to be loyal to his grandfather because that's his grandfather. He's going to be loyal to Aegon because they grew up together. And the same thing with Aegon. It's not that he hates Rhaenyra. And their squalls have been with her children. They haven't been with her.
True.
Because she is that much older than them. So her issues have always been with their mother. Their issues have always been with their sons.
Yeah. Now Otto comes in. He tells his grandson, "Hey, you have a zeal to act. I understand." But he tells him basically, at this point, you need to start thinking smart. Don't be impulsive because impulse will get you killed.
Because I think Otto sees it the same way you've seen it, and the same way I've seen it, and I'm sure many other people have seen it as well. Daemon is not Daemon. Well, Aemond is a lot more like Daemon than people want to admit. And who does Otto hate most?
Yeah. He does say that, you and your dragon are the single most powerful, entity, whatever, beings in the realm. And well, he's like, after what you did, we also, it's a big reminder because you killed, your dragon gulped up your nephew in one bite. So, but keep a grip on your impulses, kid. Now we get to see right here. So these two idiots are going through the bottom. They have a dog with them. And I did like this.
They sneak in through the sewers and they make their way.
They do come across Aegon getting drunk with his friends. Yeah. I did like this little small line right here when his friends say, "Hey, listen, why don't we call you Aegon the Strong?" He does say that my nephews already have that name.
Yeah.
I think it's that second time. But yeah, he's drinking some wine. And my brother, he's loyal as a hound. I can always rely on my brother and just struggling with being a king. Well, I did like that right there. Just showing the bust of Viserys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, okay, well, these two, they go to Aemon's bedroom. Aemon isn't there. He steals some of his gold. And what happens? Well, let's see. One of the handmaids, they catch him, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, for the rats."
Yeah.
Try doing it. But because there's guys as rat catchers.
Yeah.
But what happens? Well, they get to the bedroom. We have her.
They happen upon Helena.
Yep, and her two kids.
And her twins, Jaehaerys and Jaehaera.
Yeah. Now, they were told by Prince Daemon to kill Aemond. Also, the guy with one eye. It's pretty easy to establish the one guy with one eye. So, of course, blood and what's the second one?
Blood and cheese.
Cheese. She's like, well, let's just kill one of these ones. And well, which one? Well, like, okay, look for his cock.
Which one's the boy?
And of course, and she points to the wrong one on purpose, but they're not stupid. And we don't show it, but yeah, you can hear it.
Oh no, she doesn't point to the wrong one.
Oh, she points to the right one.
She points to the right kid.
Well, they first thought that Cheese was like, oh, she's pointing to the wrong one on purpose.
No,
and
Blood thought she was pointing to the wrong one.
Yeah.
He's like, no, mother would point to the right kid.
Yeah.
And Jesus sits there and he's like, no, she's telling the truth.
Yeah. And of course, this kid is 4 years old.
4
years old, and we don't see it, but you can hear it. Trust me. And it's very apparent what they're doing to that kid. Ugh.
They are chopping off his head.
Yep.
As she runs away with her daughter.
And she walks in on Alicent and Kristen. Damn, she's riding the pony.
Yeah.
But what's happening? She's just like, yeah.
They killed the boy.
It's funny she didn't say they killed my son. They killed the boy. Yep. And oh yeah.
Because where Helena's concerned, despite the fact that they are her children, she can't be the proper mother that she wants to be to her children.
Yeah. And that's the end. We did a pretty good job of summarizing the recap. And yes, that's the end of season 2, episode 1. Is it called A Boy for a Boy? Or My Son?
A Son for a Son.
Son for Son. Same thing. But yes, I think Game of Thrones is back. Excellent CGI, lots of characters. We did our best to break down each individual character and plot point. And I always refer to you without going on a big tangent, but as somebody who's read that book an unhealthy amount of times, as you've always said, some changes have to be made. It depends on what changes you like or dislike. But you read the book, season 2, episode 1. How is episode 1 in comparison to the book? Is it a good adaptation?
I would say it's a good adaptation. So one of the things is Rhaenyra never says that she wants Aemond. Rhaenyra never says who she wants to die in place of Lucerys. She never even says she wants someone to die. What ends up happening is Daemon acts of his own accord.
Yeah.
And he tells her in the book, a son for a son.
Yep. Which is what happens.
And he specifically sends Blood and Cheese. For those of you who have never read The Princess and the Queen, or The Dance of the Dragons, or The Blacks versus the Greens, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
What happens in it is he hires Blood and Cheese. He sends them into the Red Keep. He sends them into the Red Keep for a specific reason. To find Alicent Hightower, hold her hostage, and because of the fact that every night Helena takes her 3 children. Because in the story, not the TV show, Jaehaerys and Jaehaera are 6 years old. And they have a 2-year-old little brother named Maelor.
All right, so the changes mean taking a couple
small
characters
changes.
out. I mean,
Small changes.
You don't have to, because that's at that point
Small
starts
changes.
getting too ridiculous. Having
it really does.
Too many characters.
It does. But this is something actually that makes perfect sense in the book as to why Jaehaerys is the one who's killed. They go to Alicent's room, they tie her up, they hold her hostage until Helena shows up. Helena shows up, she goes to have her children wish her grandmother goodnight and say goodnight to her mother, only to see her tied up, get taken by Blood and Cheese, and they look at her and they're like, a son for a son. And she's like, what? And they're like, and you're going to choose.
Yeah.
You're going to choose which one of your sons we're going to kill.
It's pretty dark.
And she starts crying, begging, pleading for the lives of all 3 of her children at this point. She knows her daughter's safe because they're not going to kill a girl.
Yeah.
But she knows either little Maelor or Jaehaerys are going to die. And she begs and begs and begs and begs, and they're like, nope. She asked them to kill her instead.
Jeez.
And they said, you're not his son, you're his wife. We'll just find another. Jeez. Like, it's one of his sons. It has to be one of his sons. So finally, she looks at both of her sons, and she says to Blood and Cheese, and she tells him, kill Maelor. And she gives a perfect explanation for it. She's like, kill Maelor. He is only 2 years old. He doesn't understand that he's in the line of succession. He doesn't understand, like, what's going on. It won't be as, like, detrimental if he's the one who's killed. And she's forced into saying this. It's not because she wants her child to die.
Yeah.
But
bad decision either way.
But Cheese walks over, squats down to Maelor, who is 2 years old, and says to him, do you hear that, little man? Your mother wants you to die.
It's fucked up.
And Blood then takes, I believe he had an axe. He either had an axe or he had a sword. He takes it, swings it, cuts Jaehaerys' head clean off. Right in front of Helena. She freaks out. Alicent freaks out. And she goes into a very strong depression because one of her sons is dead. And she basically sentenced her other child to death and is under the impression that her 2-year-old believes that his mother wants him to die. To the point where she can no longer raise this child, and Alicent has to become the sole caretaker of this kid.
For me, excellent episode. Strong performances all around. I mean, this is
phenomenal.
It's a catch-up episode, not big battle sequences. This is a taste of what's to come, because now you can imagine you just killed Aegon's little baby boy. I'm sure Aegon now is going to be very, very fucking pissed off. We're going to see a whole new side of Aegon, and yeah, I mean, I hate when my buddy Lance would say, Chris, who do you think is going to die this season? I mean, and I've also, because you read the books, though,
it doesn't mean that who dies there is going to die here, or that they're even going to die in the order in which they're perceived to die in.
Yeah. So I have no idea what's going to happen,
or at the hands of who kills them.
Yeah. And so sometimes I do find that to be fun where, everybody can say that with adaptations, I don't expect a page for page, word for word
God, no.
adaptation. So if they make some changes, I mean, I've read the book, so I don't care.
So here's
We'll say,
something I've heard this before from different people, and I wholeheartedly have to agree with this. George R. R. Martin makes a beautiful story, but something that he does is he drones on. And I know I do as well. You do sometimes as well.
try not to.
But one of the things that he does is in his books, he'll have like this amazing battle sequence. He'll have this great debate. He'll have like this wonderful freaking conversation, these plots and schemes and different shit going on that you're sitting there and you're like still debating on it years later without knowing what the outcome is. And then he'll have 2 pages full of a dinner
Yeah.
and just descriptions of all the different fucking food.
Mm.
And you can't sit there. It's one thing to read it, it's another thing to watch it.
I can tell you one thing. Said I like that Wheel of Time TV show is shit, but this is a Wheel of Time. I got the book right here by Robert Jordan. This book's about 1,000 pages. Sometimes Robert Jordan, actually, sorry, no, this first book is 670 pages, but Robert Jordan sometimes with a 1,000-page book, he's got a. Sometimes you would, it takes like 5 pages to describe a rug. Like, dude,
Yeah,
I like you and all, but goddamn.
exactly.
So,
Okay, let's wrap this up.
yeah, we'll keep pumping these out. And said every episode, I just ask you a couple tidbits about was this good or bad compared to the book. But so far, hey, I'm seeing audience scores and ratings are up. And right now, everybody, not everybody, but most people, House of Dragon is back, and we're glad to talk about this. And so, yeah, we'll keep doing these weekly breakdowns.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.